So anyway, I'm gonna talk through how I made Paradise Online, and I prepared a little bit for it, not a lot. Actually, I have Paradise Online. I run that off a separate system, a separate PC, because if I would do just on my desktop or my laptop and something would happen to it because I'm using it, like accidentally quitting or whatever, then like the stream is gone and nobody wants that. So I have this like really simple PC running as a server, and that's this one. You can see it over there. It's still black because it's a black background. And it's just running a Windows 10 installation. Nothing that exciting. And it only has OBS Studio, which I'm using. It has some other software and plugins, but not really use that, just the OBS Studio. And as you can see, I set it up a bit differently from what you usually have. And I'm gonna talk through this in 3 steps. The first one is setting up the layout. And the second step is the automation part. And the third step is what we run into, some tips and tricks, and also questions if you have any. So for the first part, it's the... Well, if you have any questions, just pop them in the chat and I'll get to that. So for the layout, on the background, we just have just a background image. Nothing that special. It's the same as we used on our website and other videos. It's pretty cool. Just the background a bit faded out, because you don't want all the heavy colors popping into your eyes. On top of that, we would usually put the video mix. And on top of that, I have this overlay, which I call it. And I'll add the white black background so you can see what it actually is. It's just our logo with an outline around the video. The video was playing right here. And there's a chat on the side as well. And in this scene, we've got all that. So the overlay is just that. As you can see, it goes away. It has the image on top, the borders around the boxes, just simple images. Then we've got the chat, which I used Restream last time, but next I'm probably going to use something else. Restream has the option to fetch both the Twitch chat as well as Discord chat, so it would combine both chats in one screen. For the next one, I'm probably just going to use the Twitch chat, because the only person really only using the Discord chat was Feb, and she should just use Twitch because that's a lot easier. And also the Restream doesn't support better TTV emotes or other special emotes, just the standard emotes. And people were spamming special emotes like better TTV emotes, and those just didn't show up, so that's a shame. So the chat's just that. Then I've got an announcements layer source, which I didn't have to use actually, which I'm happy to, because this one just reads this text file, just a random text file I made, and it shows the text in pretty bold black. And I'll show you what happens if I open that text file. Announcement text. This announcement. I'd hit save, and then bam, this shows up. They would only be used if there's like, okay, announcement, we're gonna restart the server or something important happens. But I didn't have to use it, luckily, so I'm happy for that. Okay, I'm gonna clear this, delete, Control S for save, and it's gone. Then we've got the chat header, which is only this little bit. I used it in a separate image, separate source, so I could position it more precise later. I found that easier to do. You could just as well put it in the overlay below it. This one, as you can see, it should just work. And then another cool trick that I added was the chat fade out. As you can see here on the bottom, maybe it's not that good to see, but this one is just a little fade out. Oh, should add that one. That's all, just a fade to black, from transparent to black. And if I would do that, then all the text in chat would appear to fade away. So let me just real quick go to our Tsushima Sounds Twitch, because this one's actually still live. Open chat and put some random text in there. Test, 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 test. Then that would show up in chat. And as you can see in the chat on the bottom, the text fades out. And I find that more pleasant to watch, because if I wouldn't do that, the fade, then it would just end abruptly, and sometimes the cutoff is like right across a line of text, and that looks really ugly in my opinion. So I just added a little fade out on top of the chat. And then on top of that, which was actually a mistake I made during the event, but we'll get to that later. On top of that is the alerts. So if you would have a subscription or donation or bit donation that would show up on top of the chat, I could probably show you. I'd have to log into the Tsushima Sounds account, which I hope it won't let me in. Okay, that's too bad. Anyway, it would show on top, and this one has some special CSS as well, which I added in Streamlabs, because this is done by Streamlabs, where the background is a bit transparent but black. So that would make it the chat text fade to the back, and then on top of that you'd have the alert. And Annalise says, yeah. And what we actually did while making the event is a stupid mistake. I put the chat fade on top of the alerts. So what happened is you got an alert, and then you've got the alert going here, and then there's some text on the bottom, and the text on the bottom faded out. And someone posted a bit longer text than I would imagine they would. So like half the text was just unreadable. And I was like, how was that happening? What's happening? And then I realized, the alert should be on top of that fade, because otherwise it will fade out as well. So that's a stupid mistake I did. So we've got the background, which I called underlay. On top of that is a video, and on top of that is the overlay. By the way, I blocked all these elements so I wouldn't accidentally move or whatever. When we started, we had the countdown, which is just a video, and I'm not sure if you can see that on the stream, but right about here there was a pixel that didn't render correctly. So it's just a white pixel. It would show up if you would watch this full screen. Yeah, that was a bit dumb. I noticed it too late, but what I did was I made a video which had the same duration. No, it was not that long. Just a few seconds. But it's actually just a black pixel on top of that. So it's just a sneaky way to find your way out. Because as you can see, you can do a lot of things in post-production. Also, another funny detail. The bar on top, it's shrunk, and if we would go to the middle and just, it's like an hourglass, like going smaller. Okay, now after this video ends, we would go to the leader, the promotion leader, which is a video that Sonic Freak, he made it to like a few days before the event. So it's like, it's pretty cool, we should use it. And it has all the DJs and announcements. It was pretty cool. We had another transition. And as you can see, it just all fades from the one until the other automatically. So here we've got, as I told before, the underlay, which is this scene. This is just the background. Then I've got on top of that my video, which is me talking, saying hi to everyone. But it can be anything, of course, it's just a video. And on top of that is the overlay, the chat, the borders, all that stuff. And there's another element here that I didn't show yet, but it's the now playing or coming up next logo. And if I would go there, then we would fade over to the next video, which is a shout out by Gianluca Zanini. Also the same, like underlay, shout out video, an overlay on top, and then the up next video, which is just a video that's being looped. Like 15 seconds, something like that, 20 seconds. And the reason why I added the chat and all that stuff in a different layer is that OBS has the function where it doesn't reload if it's still in screen. So all through the event, this same scene was just active. Which means the chat didn't reload, because if I would add another source, then it would reload the chat, but I don't want it, because then every time the chat would be empty. It should just keep going. And yeah, that makes a better... It keeps the event going, because it would be better, well, a bit strange, like every time there's a new video, then all the chat would be gone. It's more like two separate things. Does it automatically switch between scenes? Yes, it does. And I'll show you how I did that a bit later on. So we've got Gianluca talking, then we go to the Hexaxon, his mix, which is again the underlay, the video mix, the overlay, and then the DJ logo. DJ logo here says now playing, and this one would go on. This scene will be active until like 5 minutes before the end of this file. This is just a video. If we would reach that point, then it would just fade over. I'll select fade to the next one, and the next one is just the same. It has the same sources, so that way it doesn't reload the video. And it shows DJ Timothy as a next DJ. I have it there as well. This is the only difference. Now playing Hexaxon. And then we fade to up next, DJ Timothy. So this is just like a small detail I added. I actually did it in the first one as well, and I think in the second stage it looked a bit better because it faded away, and the other one was pretty abrupt. Up next we've got a promo. The Eurobeat Online promo, which was Phil's project. Once again, it's the same, and up next still shows DJ Timothy. It's just when we get to Timothy's mix, it will say now playing. You might have seen that the video, it starts with about 4 seconds of blackness. 4 or 5 seconds. That's because Sonic Freak made a pretty awesome fade, like a stinger, like this one. And OBS Studio doesn't take in account the duration of the stinger. If I just click to the next one, it will start playing. So we had to add a bit of black before each shout out and video, so it would start at the right time, because all those fades are roughly for maybe 5 seconds. So that went all the way through. It's pretty much the same every time. Oh, and every time we went to a different scene, we would use another stinger. Like if it was going to a mix, we would use this one, or if we'd go to a shout out, we would use another one. It was something that was pretty much the same every time. Go to a shout out, and maybe it was this one. I don't remember which one it was exactly. But so see if now Emily just starts talking at the beginning, and if I would fade into it using, I have to wait for it, but just a cut. Go to the Emily video. It's just black at the beginning. It does play and a pop around the exact time. Then it shows Annalie's video. So this layout is pretty much the same every time, except for some promos. Then we just had not even that. No, it was the same every time. Underlay, video, overlay, up next. Right until the end, which is also just a bit black at the beginning because of the fade, the stinger effect. And then we had the credits, which is also just a video. Made that one before, and it shows everyone. Thank you, DJs, Eurobeat Glow, that's Sonic Freak, Supernova, Super Fail, Superhero Jimmy, That's me, of course, but you know that. See you next time. And then we'll fade over to just a boring image as a placeholder. And bye-bye to Dojin Ronin. Talk to you later. So that's a bit of my tricks of how I built the layout. And like I said, the reason why I used an underlay and overlay scene is that the scene just wouldn't reload every time. It wouldn't reload the chat every time we go to a next scene. And also because it's pretty easy to set up, because if I would add a new DJ or whatever, then I would just add a new one, enter the number, which is pretty handy to do, give it a name, and then I would just add the underlay scene, like add, I could do that, it would be scene 079 stream, just a random name, and I would just add a scene underlay, add I don't know, just a regular media source, which is all the DJ logos, the DJ mixes, the introduction, which is us talking. I don't know why those mixes are called different, but sure, whatever. You have promos, shoutouts by a lot of people, and the little up next videos that go with the DJ logos. So if I were to add DJ Now's mix, then it would show up there. No, I can just copy the position of this one, paste the transform position, it's in the right place. Then add a new scene, which is the overlay scene. And then we've got like the complete layout in one go, done. Well, of course, this is DJ Now, not the VLC, but the pop media source, DJ logo, DJ Now, which would go there. I usually would copy it because I had it. Copy stream, and I would paste. Bum. And now it's like the other. So that made it pretty easy to just line up everything. It's a lot of clicking, that's true, but it's a lot easier. So I don't know. Well, this one can stay actually. It doesn't really matter. So that's it for building the layout, except for two people who are Superfail and Turbo. They didn't provide a video, just an audio mix. So that one is a little bit different. We have the underlay and the overlay, of course, the DJ logo, but we have the DJ mix and the generic video loop. The DJ mix is it contains the audio mix as well as the visualizer made by Eurobeat Glow on a transparent layer, and the generic video loop, as you can see, is the generic video loop. And well, here you can see what happens if you don't have a video running. And this one is actually a VLC playlist apparently, which is a video made by Sonic Freak. It's like 20 minutes, 20 something minutes, and it would loop and restart when visible. That's also pretty important, because if you don't do that and the scene starts, it wouldn't show anything. Like like if you would have it always played and it will keep playing, and you don't want that because that will just hog up some memory. And you want as much memory free as you can. And you don't want to pause it because this same scene, this same source is also used in the other mix, and it should just start from the start. So this one just loops, and the scene itself is triggered on the visualizer, which also contains the audio. And the same was also applied to the mix that Superfill. Let me see. Yes, it's the same idea. General video loop. You see it. I changed the scenes because it's the same source, it's the same media source. It won't reload, and that's pretty important. And that's also why the chat stays the same. Could go back to Turbo's mix, and the car video that Sonic Freak made, it'll just stay active, stay playing. Interesting that the video keeps going. Yes, it's a pretty important part, because I could just as well just add a new video source and call it generic video turbo, but then it would be a new source and then it would reload the video, even if it's the same file. It's just a new source according to OBS. So that's the layout building part. The second part I want to talk about is the automatic scene changes, which is done with a special plugin I installed. It's just the advanced scene switcher. Looks like this. It's just on the OBS website, and this is a lifesaver. You can select a lot of things with this one. When it should do what, change to whatever. Different transitions apparently. You can pause the scene if it the scene switcher if it reaches a scene, or if it's in focus, or apparently you can do something with the titles. I don't know. You can run software. This one, as you can see, I used a lot. You could also, according to the audio level, switch to scenes. So if you have a live chat or something and someone says something, then you could go to a scene and that person pops up. I don't know. A lot of options here. The first thing I did, which apparently I also removed, is we would start on a Saturday at, if I remember correctly, it was 1 a.m. Then we would switch to the countdown. Well, actually it was 15 minutes before, because the countdown is 15 minutes. And you can just fade to that one. And if every Saturday at 12:45 we switch to countdown using the fade transition. That's what it says. Edit. And now every Saturday when the time is 12:45 it would switch to the countdown. Obviously you only use this once, but this would mean that you could just start the stream like a few minutes before this time, and it would all just start at this time. I wouldn't have to watch the clock or whatever. It would just go. Which is pretty nice. I have it turned off now because then every Saturday the whole event will start again, and I don't really want that, so I'm just going to remove it. This part is actually where all the magic happens. Here you can select when a source, So we've got the credits or promo or intro, which is just the video that plays. And DJ mixes, like a lot of stuff. Shoutouts, DJ mixes. The order isn't really what it should be, so that's a lot of searching if you're working with this. But you can say when this source, the state of it is none, playing, opening, pause, stopped, ended, or error. And the time of it playing is shorter or longer, or the time remaining is shorter or longer than a certain amount of milliseconds, then it would switch to another scene. And then you can also select a transition. So you could cut, fade, or use the stingers we made. For the first one, for example, when the countdown video, which is the 15-minute countdown at the beginning of the event, is still playing, but the time remaining of the countdown video is shorter than 500 milliseconds, which is half a second, then it will go to the promo leader, which is the video that Sonic Freak made, the promo video with the fade transition. So it will just play the countdown video, and if the time remaining, if it's still playing and the time remaining is shorter than 500 milliseconds, it would go to the, for me, next scene. Which is the promo leader. So for the next one, I've got when the promo leader video is still playing and the time is shorter than 1 second. In this case, I would switch to the Hexagon intro video using the Stinger Light Road transition, which is one of the transitions we made. I used 100 milliseconds here because the stinger, the Light Road stinger, I can show you. I'm gonna fade using the Light Road stinger. If you watch the effect, it builds up a bit. So if I would fade right away without the exact end of the video, then that would mean that we would still see the change behind the stinger. And we don't want that. We want the illusion that it changes behind the stinger and not when you can still see some of the video. Different stingers have different times, so that's pretty much always the same. Like if the intro Hexagon video is playing and the time is shorter than 2 seconds, it should, using the letter stinger, go to the next scene. And if that scene opens, then the video starts playing immediately. And if the Gianluca Zanini video is playing, stayed longer than 500 milliseconds, half a second, then we would go to the mix. And then in the mix, I've got it set up that if the DJ mix of Hexagon is playing and the time is shorter than a lot of milliseconds, this translates to 5 minutes. We would go up to the up next video with just the DJ logo. I can click there, but it's the DJ logo that's in the top right corner changes from now playing to up next. So that way it just keeps on going and going. And I don't have to worry about the exact times of the videos because I always use the time remaining shorter. So if the time of the video that remains to play is shorter than, in this case, 2000 milliseconds or 2 seconds, then this event would kick in and do its thing. If you're gonna set this up, you should, depending on how many DJs or different scenes you've got, I think this took me about an hour to set up because as I told you, it's a lot of clicking. But this is the thing that fully automates everything. In the end, we've got when the Densetsu mix is playing, shorter than 1 second, we would go to the credits, which is the credits roll, and then when that is ended, so not playing but actually ended, so that's no other time remaining or whatever, we would switch to the final scene, which is the end, which is just the logo. I would use a fade, and there's no interactive anything or special effects, just fading over. So just a fade means I can use the ended instead of playing and time less than whatever. So that's pretty cool. What you can also use, which is here in the general tab, you can set it to automatically record, stop streaming or recording. So if you would reach the end scene, it would stop automatically with streaming and or recording. So you can automatically end it as well. So you can just go to bed and hope it doesn't crash. And you can also start the recording automatically, or streaming, or both, if it reaches a scene, which can be useful as well. I tried doing the recording when we get to the countdown, but my little streaming PC doesn't really like that, so not gonna use that. And yes, it is quite risky to go to bed and hope for the best, but yeah, in theory you could. But then you could also just let it run and pay attention to something else, like going into a raid or whatever. So that's the automation part of it. And I was really happy I found this plugin, the Advanced Scene Switcher. There is a automatic scene switcher in OBS itself, but it's really limited. I don't even know how it works. Probably doesn't do anything. So that's the automation part, and as you can see, I still have it set up. So like I said, the promo leader, if it reaches close to the end, it'll kick in the stinger, and we go over to the next scene. And if that intro video is almost done, maybe not. Okay, here we go. Got a few seconds left. It says time playing, 2 seconds, 1 second, and in the 2 seconds, the transition already starts. And now we've got Gianluca Zanini again. So that's pretty much how I made the Paradise Online event. Mind you, this only works if you've got everything pre-recorded, because if you're working with live DJs, of course you can just cut them out and go to the next scene and hope that the next person is there or whatever. But that might not be what you want. You might want to have it more, might have want more control on it. Because if someone stops early or doesn't connect or whatever, then you'd still have to do something. Something that we should have paid a bit more attention to is leveling. It's another topic though. because the host videos, which is just us talking, as I told you before, the audio levels were a bit low. I didn't have time to test that. I was just hoping for the best. Could be better, but lesson learned for next time. So yeah, that's about it. If you got any questions in the chat, just let me know. I'm checking if I can find something else that's worth saying. Did anything go wrong during live streaming, behind the scenes? Well, in the beginning of the video, I was talking about the overlay order. That's actually the only thing that went wrong. Like I said, the alerts thingy was beneath the bottom fade, so that would make the bottom text go away of whatever donation or subscription or bit donation was sent. So that was a shame. Lesson learned there. Luckily I could, because this is a remote PC and I could just control it remotely, as I'm doing now as well. I just logged into the machine using my VNC server for remote control, and I could just change it. And nobody really noticed that it changed, except that like 2 people told me like, hey, I can't read the bottom, and then I'll fix it. But as you can see, there's no real change because this isn't active. And I think that's all that went wrong behind the scenes. On the first Paradise Online, something else went wrong as well. This is not a very powerful machine, just a pretty simple i3 from a few years old, 8 gig memory, no separate graphics. So yeah, it's not that powerful, but just showing some videos is okay. During the first Paradise Online, we had Brett Sinclair sending in a video with a lot of others, of course. Most of them were in full HD or some in 720p. Except for Brett Sinclair's, his one was 4K, and I didn't notice that. So I added it in the scene, just like in the same way as this. So a shout out Brett Sinclair. But it's downscaled to whatever this resolution is. So that's some stress on the CPU. But because it was also 4K, it was like a lot bigger file than the system could handle. So the video was like super choppy and yeah, not really all that. Yeah, that was too much. I could probably, I think I still have it. Use it in this one. Oh, also another thing that's restart when the source comes active. Yeah, that's sure. Another important thing is to show nothing when playback ends and close file while inactive. Those should be off. Because if you get to the end and you forgot something, I don't know what, like a transition automation, it would just go away. Then you would have like this shown and you don't want that. So if you would just at least keep showing the lost frame, then you've got something to work with, which is better than nothing. Let's see. Add media source. Brett Sinclair. Not sure if I still have it though. Browse. Paradise Online shoutouts by Brett Sinclair. Oh, I already made it a full HD video, so I don't have the 4K anymore. You show nothing when playback ends. That's activated by default. Turn it off. Hello, Mr. Brett Sinclair. Copy the transformation. And then I would paste the transformation. Oh, it's still not going as I planned. Copy. Paste. Well, it doesn't resize. That's too bad. Should be something like this. Bam. And then, of course, under the overlay, so the border would go on top of it. You can see it here on this side. If I put it on top, then the border is gone. Oh, another thing that went wrong during the second Paradise Online is that I forgot to end the stream because it was super automated. The stream ended and I'm not sure if we rated anyone. I'm not sure if we did. Don't think we did that. But okay, the stream ended and people left and I was just chatting on Discord or whatever. And I was like, oh crap. I forgot to stop the stream and it was running for like a 10-minute extra already. And I saw the total playtime and it was like 3 minutes to go until we'd reach 15 hours. So I was like, okay, let's go to 15 hours and stop then. So we did. So that's the Paradise Online event. How I did it in October last year, and I think this can be pretty interesting for some other event organizers.